Hi, welcome back to Build First, the Authors Foundation podcast. I'm Paula Banks, and this is the show for authors who are done guessing and ready to build something that actually hopes. I'm so glad you're here. Now let's get into it. So last episode, I laid out the big picture. Why authors build backwards, what the right sequence looks like, and what it costs when things are out of order. So if you haven't listened to that one yet, go back and start there. It'll make everything in this episode hit better. So today I am telling you my story, what I actually went through, what I missed, and the season that almost made me walk away from all of it. So I'm sharing it because I think a lot of you are going to recognize yourself in it. And I want you to know before I get started is that what you're experiencing isn't a you problem, it's a sequence problem. So let's go back to the beginning. So when I published my second book, and I'm starting with my second book because my first book was truly me not knowing what I was doing. It was me learning how to publish a book and all the things that came with it. And I told myself if I could figure out how to publish the first book, that everything I learned, I would put it into my second book and just make it great. And that's what I did. So when I started publishing my second book, I was super excited. Like, this is it. This is going to be the one. I had worked super hard on it. I believed in it. And the second it was out, I did exactly what everyone said to do. I showed up, I posted consistently, and I talked about my book everywhere I could and every chance I got. And for a while, that felt like enough. It felt like I was making progress, like I was doing the work, but the results weren't matching my effort. So sales were inconsistent. My engagement would go up and down, and I really didn't have a pattern that I could figure out. And the few sales that I were getting were coming in almost all through Amazon, which sounds fine until you realize what that actually means. So Amazon gives you the royalty and nothing else. So you don't get any buyer information, no way to follow up. You have no way to invite that person into anything else you're building. The transaction completes and that's it. The reader's gone before you ever had a chance to connect with them. And I could see that books were moving. I just had no idea who was buying them. So I kept telling myself that consistency was going to pay off eventually, that if I just kept showing up, something would change. But really, what I was doing was trying to boost something that wasn't fully built yet and wondering why it wasn't working. Then came the moment that changed everything for me. So a school reached out about a bulk order. And if you know anything about how schools work, you know that this is a really big deal. They weren't browsing. They had a purchase order, a school credit card, and a real intention to buy. And this was a kind of opportunity that doesn't just mean revenue. It meant credibility, relationships, and the potential for other schools in the same district to follow. But I had to let it go. And it wasn't because I wasn't right for them or they didn't want the book. It's because I didn't have a website. That's where the gap was. They needed somewhere to go to make the purchase, and I had nothing to send them. No website, no checkout, no way to make the transaction happen on my end. And when schools, they don't have time to work around that. They just move on. The stipulation was they had to purchase directly from my website. They could not purchase off of Amazon, and I wasn't able to do it for them. So I had to leave. I had to let the sale go. And that ate at me for a long time because missing a slow week on social media is one thing, but missing a real paid relationship building opportunity because my setup wasn't ready, child, that hurt my feelings. So I knew that it wasn't a marketing problem. It was an infrastructure problem, and you cannot post your way out of an infrastructure problem no matter how hard you try. So around that same time, I started feeling something I didn't really have the language for yet. So every week that passed without real momentum quietly started to feel like evidence that my systems weren't incomplete, but evidence that maybe I wasn't the right person for this, that maybe publishing the book was as far as I was going to go with it. And I want to just take a pause right here and stop here for a second, because I think this is the part that nobody talks about honestly. So when your foundation is missing, you have nothing to measure it against. You can't look at what's not working and say, okay, that's a positioning problem, or that's a platform issue, or that's a systems gap. There's no framework to evaluate against. So every slow week becomes personal. Every underperforming post feels like a verdict on your capability rather than a signal about your sequence. So I stopped showing up a little, I pulled back, and there were days I genuinely told myself that maybe the business side of being an author just wasn't for me. And of course, none of that was true. The work was solid. The message was real, and I believed in my work. What was missing was the structure to support it. But I couldn't see that clearly until I stopped trying to promote my way through the problem and actually looked at what wasn't built. So I slowed down. I took a step back and I started rebuilding. So I built a website, one with clear messaging about who I served and what I had to offer. I set up an email platform and built a welcome sequence so that when someone subscribed, something happened automatically. They got a response, they got a next step, they moved through an experience that I had designed for them. And I set it up in a way to process direct orders so that the next time a school called, I would be ready. They would not catch me slipping. So, of course, none of this happened overnight, but something changed pretty quickly that mattered more than results. For the first time, I felt like my business was holding me instead of me holding it together. So when something happened, a new subscriber, a purchase, an inquiry, there was a system ready to handle it. The structure was doing work I used to carry around in my head, and that mental clarity that I got back from that changed how I showed up for everything. So that is my story. And I'm telling it because I want you to hear this clearly. If you are in the middle of a hard season right now, if things aren't clicking the way you thought they would, or if you are starting to wonder whether you're the problem, you're probably not. Go look at your foundation. That is almost always the answer of what it is. So that's a wrap on today's episode. So before you go, if you are not sure where you are in your author journey right now, take the free author reality check. It takes about 5 minutes, and it will show you exactly which of the 5 pillars needs your attention first. So the link is in the show notes. And if something hit you in this episode, share it with another author in your circle who needs to hear it. That is the best way that we can grow this community, one author at a time. So in the next episode, we're going to get into the first pillar, which is positioning. So if you ever felt like you're talking to everyone and reaching no one, this episode is going to make a lot of things click. So don't miss it, all right? And I am Paula Banks, and remember, build first and then let visibility do its job. I'll see you in the next episode.